I have a dream that one day every valley shall be exalted, every hill and mountain made low. Darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that. Faith is taking the first step even when you don't see the whole staircase. Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. Life's most persistent and urgent question is, what are you doing for others? The time is always right to do what is right. Our lives begin to end the day we become silent about things that matter. Free at last. Free at last. Thank God Almighty we are free at last. We must accept finite disappointment, but never lose infinite hope. True peace is not merely the absence of tension, it is the presence of justice. Love is the only force capable of transforming an enemy into a friend. A riot is the language of the unheard. The ultimate measure of a man is not where he stands in moments of comfort, but where he stands at times of challenge and controversy. The arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends toward justice. Forgiveness is not an occasional act, it is a constant attitude. If I cannot do great things, I can do small things in a great way. Everybody can be great because everybody can serve. Let no man pull you so low as to hate him. The quality, not the longevity of one's life, is what is important. We must build dikes of courage to hold back the flood of fear. Hate is too great a burden to bear. There comes a time when silence is betrayal. If you lose hope, somehow you lose the vitality that keeps life moving. I believe that unarmed truth and unconditional love will have the final word in reality. You don't have to see the whole staircase, just take the first step. No one really knows why they're alive until they know what they'd die for. Change does not roll in on the wheels of inevitability, but comes through continuous struggle. He who passively accepts evil is as much involved in it as he who helps to perpetrate it. Justice too long delayed is justice denied. I have decided to stick with love. Hate is too great a burden to bear. Freedom is never voluntarily given by the oppressor. It must be demanded by the oppressed. Wars are poor chisels for carving out peaceful tomorrows. Love is the only force capable of transforming an enemy into a friend. Intelligence plus character. That is the goal of true education. The hottest place in hell is reserved for those who remain neutral in times of great moral conflict. We are not makers of history. We are made by history. Shallow understanding from people of goodwill is more frustrating than absolute misunderstanding from people of ill will. The function of education is to teach one to think intensively and to think critically. We must learn to live together as brothers or perish together as fools. Every man must decide whether he will walk in the light of creative altruism or the darkness of destructive selfishness. A genuine leader is not a searcher for consensus, but a molder of consensus. Our scientific power has outrun our spiritual power. We have guided missiles and misguided men. In the end, we will remember not the words of our enemies, but the silence of our friends. Nothing in the world is more dangerous than sincere ignorance and conscientious stupidity. We may have all come on different ships, but we're in the same boat now. Rarely do we find men who willingly engage in hard, solid thinking. The true neighbor will risk his position, his prestige, and even his life for the welfare of others. Let us not seek to satisfy our thirst for freedom by drinking from the cup of bitterness and hatred. Even if I knew that tomorrow the world would go to pieces, I would still plant my apple tree. Oppressed people cannot remain oppressed forever. Freedom is the bonus you receive for telling the truth. The moral arc of the universe bends at the elbow of justice. We must concentrate not merely on the negative expulsion of war, but the positive affirmation of peace. Faith is the substance of hope, the evidence of things not seen. A nation that continues year after year to spend more money on military defense than on programs of social uplift is approaching spiritual death. Life is a continual story of shattered dreams. One day we will learn that the heart can never be totally right when the head is totally wrong. There can be no deep disappointment where there is not deep love. Our freedom is bound together. All labor that uplifts humanity has dignity and importance. Every man must do something to lift humanity. Let us not seek to satisfy our thirst for freedom by drinking from the cup of bitterness. We must speak with all the humility that is appropriate to our limited vision, but we must speak. Human progress never rolls in on wheels of inevitability. The measure of a man is not where he stands in moments of comfort, but where he stands at times of challenge. Nonviolence is a powerful and just weapon. The soft-minded man always fears change. All progress is precarious, and the solution of one problem brings us face to face with another problem. We must keep moving with the determination that we are moving to the promised land. It is not enough to say we must not wage war. It is necessary to love peace and sacrifice for it. It is cheerful to celebrate the unearned increment in life. We must live together as brothers or perish together as fools. Freedom is never given, it is won. He who is devoid of the power to forgive is devoid of the power to love. Means we must be as pure as the ends we seek. The evils of capitalism are as real as the evils of militarism and racism. We must use time creatively in the knowledge that the time is always ripe to do right. The purpose of education is to discipline the mind. One of the greatest liabilities of history is that all too many people fail to remain awake through great periods of social change. Property is intended to serve life, and no matter how much we surround it with rights and respect, it has no personal being. An individual has not started living until he can rise above the narrow confines of his individualistic concerns. Peace is not simply the absence of conflict, but the existence of justice for all people. There is nothing more tragic than to find an individual bogged down in the length of life, devoid of breath. You can kill the dreamer, but you can't kill the dream. Human salvation lies in the hands of the creatively maladjusted. Never forget that everything Hitler did in Germany was legal. A good leader is not a searcher for consensus, but a builder of consensus. We must rapidly begin the shift from a thing-oriented society to a person-oriented society. The silence of the good people is more dangerous than the brutality of the bad people. The principle of self-defense, even involving weapons and bloodshed, has never been condemned even by Gandhi. There is a power in love that our world has not yet discovered. We must remember that intelligence is not enough. Intelligence plus character, that is the goal of true education. Only in the darkness can you see the stars. We are tied together in the single garment of destiny. Those who love peace must learn to organize as effectively as those who love war. A person who will not stand for something will fall for anything. You are not only responsible for what you say, but also for what you do not say. Wars are poor tools for carving out peaceful tomorrows. The problem of racism, the problem of economic exploitation, and the problem of war are all tied together. The means by which we live have outdistanced the ends for which we live. A man can't ride your back unless it's bent. There is something in this universe which justifies William Cullen Bryant in saying, "Truth crushed to earth will rise again." We must learn that passively to accept an unjust system is to cooperate with that system. I want to be the white man's brother, not his brother-in-law. Peace is not merely a distant goal that we seek, but a means by which we arrive at that goal. The strong man holds in a living blend strongly marked opposites. Every human life is a reflection of divinity, and every act of injustice mars and defaces the image of God in man. The church must be reminded that it is not the master or the servant of the state, but rather the conscience of the state. There is nothing greater in all the world than freedom. We must not allow our creative protest to degenerate into physical violence. A person who does not feel anger over evil is a person who lacks enthusiasm for good. Man must evolve for all human conflict a method which rejects revenge, aggression, and retaliation.